The news from SpaceX could mean big things for our Space Coast. Now, even though the massive Starship and its super heavy booster are being built in Texas, it could make its launch debut at the Kennedy Space Center first. We learned that it's a possibility. Ashley Mills is joining us this morning from a stunning location in Titusville over at Spaceview Park. What a place to be on any given launch day. So good morning to you, Ashley. What would a Florida launch mean for this incredible mission?
If there's a Florida launch, that location does change. It would also mean the date for that blastoff also gets pushed back by more than half a year from March. That's the soonest SpaceX's Elon Musk hopes to launch, and that would be from Texas, that March date. Things like that date and location, whether the massive Starship goes up from the Space Coast, depends on the FAA, really. Musk says regulatory requirements may force SpaceX to move to Kennedy Space Center, and it could mean a delay of, again, more than half a year. But when it does eventually launch, it will be the most powerful rocket launched from Earth. The eventual goal is to use Starship and its super heavy booster to establish a city on Mars, transporting people and equipment there.
So for those who really care about not just the humans, but all the life on Earth, it is very important, essential, that over the long term, that we become a multi-planet species and ultimately even go beyond the solar system.
Meanwhile, NASA plans to use it to land astronauts on the moon as soon as in 2025, although that is an optimistic timeline. The purpose of the launches for now will be to carry internet satellites into orbit. Reporting on scene in Titusville, I'm Ashley Mills for Spectrum News.
We've had so many launches lately. Everything goes fine. There might be a delay because of weather or other issues, but during launch, everything goes great. That was not the case yesterday with the Astra launch. So let's show you the images. All systems were working correctly until stage separation, and we're about to show you that in a moment. That's what you can see in the video on the right-hand side, the second stage tumbling out of control. A group of NASA nano satellites never reached orbit because of this failure. Scientist Dr. Ken Kremer was at Jetty Park to witness the launch and knew something was wrong as soon as separation began.
Went out of control, so some rocket thruster was firing the wrong way very clearly. Why that happened, we don't know. Was it, was it a computer error? Was it a rocket failure somehow? They're going to have to look at all that, the software and the hardware of this rocket, to determine exactly what the cause of the failure was.
So the goal of this particular launch was to provide low-cost access to orbit for either commercial or military-use satellites. Those satellites normally have to hop on a larger rocket and hope to be included in a secondary payload. You know, Astra rockets have had a difficult time. These images from back in August, the rocket started moving sideways right after launching from Alaska. A bit more than 2 minutes into flight, teams aborted the mission. It was the sixth failure in a row for Astra, but other programs have had their issues as well. You may remember these images, a SpaceX Starship prototype blowing up in Texas during a high-altitude test flight. This is what could one day send crews to the moon and Mars. Similar accidents have happened a few times with these Starship test flights. These particular images are from December 2020. As for SpaceX's the Falcon 1 rocket failed 3 times in a row. Remember that? And the company itself was on the verge of collapse. Stay on top of all of the space stories, missions, and launches, because there are quite a few, by logging on to mynews13.com. We're constantly updating the space tab, so check it out. And you can also see it on the Spectrum News app, which you can download for free this morning.